Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. This week's parsha, of course, we have the famous story of Moshe Rabbeinu's mother putting him in a wicker basket into the Nile to be saved from the Egyptians who wanted to drown all the babies. And we all know the story. The princess Batya comes along, sees the child, rescues the child. But here's something quite fascinating. If you follow the story, the Torah refers to this baby, which was Moshe, as the Yellin. The word Yellin could either mean a child or a boy. And if you follow the story, it says the mother saw that she couldn't hide the baby, the Yellin, anymore, so she created a basket. She put the Yellin in the basket, and then the daughter of Paro goes down to the Nile, and she opens up the basket, and she sees the Yellin, the child, the boy. Then it says, V'hine nar bocha. And then, behold, the lad is crying. So she takes pity on this child, and she says, this Yelled, once again, this child is a Jewish child. And then Miriam comes forth and said, I have someone who could nurse the Yelled, the child, and she says, take the Yelled and bring it to Yocheved to nurse, and so on. There's about at least a half a dozen times that baby Moshe is referred to as a Yelled. There's only one time that is called a nar, a lad. And that's when she hears the lad crying. And the question is, why suddenly does the Torah call him a nar, a lad? He's been referred to as a Yelled, as a child all along, a baby. All of a sudden he's a lad. And how does he become a lad? A lad is usually someone older, not a baby. So the Baal HaTurim, a commentary in Torah, gives a revolutionary pshat that changes our whole understanding of the story. You and I always thought that behold, a baby, a lad is crying. Who is the lad? Moshe starts crying. But part of the question is, why right after the baby cries does she say, I know it's a Jewish child? How did she know it's a Jewish child? And it goes back to saying the word Yellin, not nar. So listen to what the Baal HaTurim says. He says it wasn't baby Moshe that was crying, because it says a lad, it wasn't a baby. It changes the description. Here's what the Baal HaTurim says. We know that Miriam, the big sister of Moshe, stood from a distance to watch what's going to happen to her baby brother. So the Baal HaTurim says when Miriam went to watch over baby Moshe in the Nile, her younger brother Aaron, who was a young boy, came along to watch. Suddenly they see the Egyptian princess taking the basket. Now I told you yesterday, that's the equivalent of seeing during the Holocaust Hitler's daughter taking a Jewish baby. So right away, Aaron thought, oh my God, that's it. They're going to take my brother to be killed. So in the bushes where Miriam and Aaron are hiding to watch over the baby, Aaron gives a cry. V'hine nar, the lad is crying, not the baby. Says she hears the cry of Aaron. When she sees one brother is crying for the sister, for a fellow brother, he says, this must be a Jewish child. When one brother cries for another, I know this is a Jewish family. And that's why she takes pity on this child and returns it to its mother. And the idea behind this beautiful interpretation is that what's unique about the Jewish people? Last night we had Deborah Lipstadt. And we talked about anti-Semitism. What's unique about Jews is that when one Jew is attacked anywhere in the world, all Jews cry together. Because that's the trait of a Jew, of the Jewish people. And that's what she recognized. That when Aaron cries for Moses, then you know it's a Jewish family. And that's what it means to be a family, that we all feel each other's pain and cry over each other's suffering, and we're all one and united and are caring and loving to one another. I'll tell you a story that one time there was a man from Belgium who was visiting in New York, and he decided he wanted to go visit the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And this man had lost his mother when he was a young child. And he managed to get an audience with Lubavitcher Rebbe. And he came into his meeting and he introduced himself. When he told the Rebbe his name, the Rebbe said, did you lose your mother when you were a child? He says, yeah, how did you know? My mother died of cancer when I was, only 4 years old. The Rebbe opens his drawer and takes out a letter and hands him the letter. He starts reading the letter and he starts crying. It's a letter from his mother going back 30-something years ago when he was a little boy, and his mother writes to the Rebbe that I'm diagnosed with serious illness, cancer, and the doctors give me just months to live. And my biggest fear is that I have a family of 6 children, and who's going to watch over my children? So I'm writing to you, Lubavitcher Rebbe, please always pray for my children that when I'm gone, Hashem should watch over them, that they should grow up to be healthy and good Jews. And he's crying. He never knew about this letter that his mother wrote. And in the letter, his mother writes all the names of her children with her name, Ben, her name, to pray for them. When he finished the meeting, he was so emotional. He said to the Rebbe, I have very few memories of my mother and very few, items of her belongings. This letter is very precious. Can I please have this letter? I'd like to take it with me. And the Rebbe said, I'm sorry, I can't give it to you. And he said, why not? And he said, because every year, right before Yom Kippur, he says, I get ready for Yom Kippur, I eat the meal, then I put on my kittel, I put on my talis, I take my machzor. But before I leave my room to go down to the synagogue in 770 to begin Kol Nidre, I take out your mother's letter and I pray for all of her children just like she requested me to do. And I need this original letter to be able to continue every year to pray on behalf of her children. That's what it means to hear the cry of another Jew, the pain, to feel it and to respond to it. And that's when Batya was moved by the cry of not the baby, but according to the Baal HaTurim, the cry of Aaron, and then she took pity on Moshe Rabbeinu.